What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here, thanks for stopping by. Today's video we are on the test server here, so thank you Plarium for allowing us access, and we will be showcasing one of the brand new champions in the game, Gracchos Turndrake. So Gracchos Turndrake is a demon spawn champion here. He's HP based, and yeah, great base stats, great aesthetics. I really like the look of this champion. He's a dragon, he's in a demon spawn, he's a demon dragon, so pretty cool. He just came into the game with the whole Chaos Awakes campaign, and yeah, let's check him out. His base stats look solid. 99 is a bit of an average speed, but good base HP, good base defense. HP in all battles 28%. Let's check out his kit here real quick. His A1: attack one enemy, ignore 25% of the target's defense. Heals all allies with less than 50% HP by 10% of this champion's max HP. Now, the 25% ignore defense, that's not bad, right? On A1 also has a team heal as well, on a bit of a condition. Book value, not the best, only 5% per book. But it seems like he's kind of like a damage dealer here based on his A1. His A2 here: attack all enemies 2 times. It's a 3-turn cooldown. Fully booked, 100% chance of landing the big decreased defense. Each hit will ignore 25% defense, will ignore defense against targets with less than 50% HP. So he has a lot of benefit going against champions that have less than 50% HP so far. You get team heal on his A1, you get ignore defense on his A2. The second hit will give you a 100% chance of landing block buffs as well. And each hit will ignore 25% resistance against targets with less than 50% HP. So some good conditions here, obviously a little bit helpful for accuracy requirements if they're under 50% HP. But if you're looking for these debuffs, you're probably going to gear him with proper accuracy anyway, so you're not going to be looking for that resistance condition too often. But if you're looking at this as a skill in terms of overall value, you can look at Ugo as the comparable here. Ugo has a decreased defense block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. And Gracchos has the same ability, but he also has so much more. He has the ignore defense condition. He has the ignore resistance condition. The double hit could be seen as a good thing. And he doesn't have a conditional 100% block buff. He just has a 100% block buff, whereas Ugo does have conditions applied to her, so that she might not be 100% block buff sometimes. So as an overall value ability, this ability is very good, better than Ugo's block buff and AoE decreased defense. Gracchos is A3, 3-turn cooldown when fully booked. Increase defense on your team, also places block damage on all allies for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, this is a really good ability. There's not many champions in the game with a 3-turn block damage. Usually they're 4 turns. And there's lots of content in the game revolving around 4-turn block damage. Now, the closest, or at least the most comparable champion that I can think of is Demitha. So Demitha brings a 3-turn block damage with continuous heals, and Gracchos here brings block damage, increased defense on a 3-turn. Now, this is a very high value ability. Obviously, it protects your team and all that, and good cycling ability with only 3-turn cooldown. Very strong. It would have been nice to maybe see like crit damage boost as well, just because he's supposed to deal some damage. He has ignore defense in his kit. Maybe give him like some kind of self buff, not just team buffs. Unfortunately, he is HP based, so it's not like you can really buff up his HP or anything like that. His passive here, another bit of team support. If an ally has more than 50% HP and is under any buffs placed by this champion, that ally deals 10% more damage. So kind of like, you can think about it as like a built-in protection set ability. So you just get a built-in damage boost. If an ally has less than 50% HP and is attacked by an enemy under any debuff placed by this champion, so he does place debuffs, that ally receives 10% less damage. Now, these are really solid passives, right? They're just like passive abilities and passive buffs for your entire team. It is conditional though, so sometimes you can't really rely on it. I think his kit looks very simple, but very valuable. But first, I think we should test out if he can actually hit or not because of his ignore defense in his kit. So we'll first gear him out to do that. But I think overall, he's probably going to be some kind of support champion with some damage built into his kit. But let's check out his damage first. All right, guys, so let's hop into Dragon here. We'll do the usual setup. We'll do the AoE decrease defense and weaken. And then we'll see if he can actually hit. And we'll show you guys the build and setup afterwards. Take a quick look here. All right, so boost, AoE, decrease defense, and weaken. And let's test out his A2. So his A2 here does the double hit, will ignore 25% of each target's defense if they're less than 50% HP. So we need the first hit to basically bring them under 50% HP, and then maybe we'll benefit from the second hit. But if you're attacking brand, like basically fresh enemies, you're not going to get the full ignore defense right off the bat. But let's see how it goes. So yeah, the damage is very mediocre. Like you can kind of see like nobody's really moving a little bit. Let's end this here. Since nobody died, there's no loss of damage here in the score. So about 550. We can do it one more time, just to make sure that that wasn't a fluke or anything like that. I do have Helm Smasher on, so there's a little bit of RNG there. Let's do that again with the A1. I mean, yeah, overall the damage numbers are pretty small, like about 50, 60k. So about 500 here. Let's quickly test out his A1 a little bit here, just in case. But it doesn't look like his AoE is going to be very strong. Let's see here. So his A1, let's target the Chagor here. 90k on the A1. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem like it's very, very strong damage numbers here. We can compare him against somebody else and then yeah, we'll see how that compares. All right, so now we're going to try another HP-based damage dealer here. This time I'm going to try Embrys. I do have a slightly bigger aura on Embrys, unfortunately, but let's see if that makes a massive difference here. We'll just test out his AoE here. Let's see here. So I did the direct gear swap, so the gear is directly swapped over. And let's see how he's going to hit. Let's transform first. And we'll do the health swap and then AoE slam here. And yeah, you can see much, much larger hits, almost killing the enemies here. And Embrys is hitting for over double what Gracchos would actually hit. So yes, Embrys is rocking a 7% bigger aura. But yeah, the damage numbers are just significantly more. We can try the A1 here just to have a little bit more comparison. We can also try without doing the HP swap. So if you guys know Embrys, when he swaps HP, he gains an extra ignore defense here a little bit. So when so yeah, won't do that. We'll just do the A1. Let's see what happens here. 112. So about 25k more than Gracchos on his A1. Overall, we can tell it's pretty significant damage difference between Gracchos and Embrys. I'll show you guys the build on Embrys here. He has no blessings. He has no relics. Helm Smasher masteries. Here are his total stats: 90k HP with 283 crit damage. When I bring the exact stats over to, or exact gear set over to Gracchos here, you guys can compare the stats here as well. Basically, I just take Embrys's gear set, swap it over, and almost identical stats, right? Embrys had about 90k HP, and roughly around the same crit damage as well. So we're just seeing, really big multiplier differences between the two. But this is the total build I have on Gracchos during that quick damage test. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be a viable damage dealer. Yes, you could maybe put him in 6-piece Merciless so that he gets more ignore defense, but if you're pushing so hard just to get him to do damage, he's probably not going to be a significant damage dealer on your roster. But for him, I think the most viable part about his kit is his debuffs and his buffs. He has a great value move to buff your team. He has great value debuff move here on his A2, and he also brings you additional damage. So where is this important, right? Obviously in team boss fights really come to mind. So I'm thinking Hydra. Obviously that's where Ugo is very good with the A2. Very similar move to Ugo. This passive is going to boost his damage, your team's damage against the Hydra bosses, which is going to be really solid. And this is just a really, really strong support move. Now this move, like I said, it matches up really well with Demitha. So you can make a clan boss team around him. For example, if you never pulled Demitha, or anything like that, or you don't have a 1-key clan boss team or a 2-key Ultra Nightmare clan boss team, you can build Gracchos here to be your clan boss champion as well. And another area where this is actually going to be really, really good is actually Chimera. Chimera with the ram form really could be stopped by this block damage, which can be very helpful. Obviously, the boosted damage here can help your team dish out more damage against Chimera as well. And he brings relevant debuffs here with the decreased defense and block buffs as well. So we'll test them out in some of those areas, and I'll show you guys a build that I think will work universally well against all those areas that I just mentioned. All right, guys, so this is the build I'm talking about, and I think is the best build for Gracchos Turn Drake. If you can put him in a 9-piece protection set, I think that's going to be really, really strong, because now you're going to be benefiting from the additional damage, 5% more damage per buff placed by this wear. Now, Gracchos here can only basically put 2 buffs from his kit, which gives your team an additional 10% damage. But keep in mind that he also boosts your team's damage by 10% more. So he's coming in here with potentially 20% extra damage for your whole team, which works out really well for, you know, Hydra or Chimera, or actually anywhere in the game. Also, the protected block damage and protected increased defense is very, very powerful in both Hydra and Chimera. You could also put Gracchos here in a 9-piece Feral set. Then you'll be getting additional 10% damage when he lands these debuffs. I mean, that could also work, but I do like the additional bonus of having the protected buffs, which is very, very nice. So I think this is probably the best build for him. Now, let's go over the total stats here real quick. About 90k HP, just as previous in his damage form. But the other stats here, I mean, you could put crit rate, crit damage. He can chip in a little bit of damage, but he's not here as your main damage dealer. He also requires accuracy to land his decreased defense and block buffs. So depending on the level of content that you're tackling, you want to scale up your accuracy accordingly. If you're doing, for example, Nightmare Hydra, you probably want to aim for about 330, 340, 350 accuracy. That's total accuracy. So if you have Hydra bonuses, you know, you have to make sure you include those as well. So here with Hydra bonuses, 350 is plenty for the top difficulty in Hydra. But if you're just using him for Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss, for example, you need about 230. Again, no relics, no blessings, so any of those will definitely be helpful. These were the masteries for the damage dealing Gracchos. I'm going to sub these out for the support Gracchos here. All right, so just a quick swap of the masteries here. I went down to War Master now that Gracchos here doesn't have full stats for damage. When he was in his damage build, I went with Helm Smasher. Everything else seems pretty much the same. We went with Lasting Gifts here for the support tree. You get a lot of value from extending his buffs. And then Master Hexer here, also in the support tree to extend his debuffs. You get a lot of value there from that as well. You could even try to go down, you know, if you have enough accuracy, you could try to go down the HP route and then just pick up some more heals so that you benefit a bit from his A1. But I think the accuracy part of this path makes most sense. You get the most value from it because the healing part is just a very small part of his overall kit. So yeah, this is the support masteries for him. I think it's going to work out really well. So let's test him out in some areas. All right, let's bring Gracchos into this Hydra team here. We're fighting brutal difficulty right now, and I think this is probably the spot where he's probably going to be most useful if you want to look at him as a support champion. He brings the same debuffs as Ugo, as well as bringing block damage, increased defense, and a little bit of damage himself with the ignore defense. So we got him in this team here. We got the damage dealer Thor, we got damage dealer Harima with Mikage support. We also have the weaken and then some turn meter stuff and then speed up, speed down from Estrid here, or Yostrid. Estrid. And then we have Molly here for just a backup revive and then obviously the provoke. Let's see how it plays out in the game. I think Gracchos is going to perform really, really well here. So let's see if we can... let's see what he does. I think he's going to be pretty good. So we got the decreased defense, block buffs. Yeah, let's do it. There we go. Decreased defense, block buffs. And then we have the provoke here from Molly. Increased speed and then weaken applied. And then our damage dealers are coming in. No plus defense on this Harima right now. Let's ramp up the Thor's crown. Then we can remove some of that fear. Now we can go with the plus defense, block damage. It's also protect in a protection set, so they get some additional damage as well. And yeah, let's see here. There we go. That's with plus defense. Thor coming in here with the big smash and then the passive damage as well. And then he's in a 9-piece Merciless set, so he cycles back to an extra turn. He's just an absolute beast, especially in the 9-piece. That's the A1, 113k on the A1, not too bad at all for basically a support champion. There we go. Estrid is in curse set, so then we do see some hexes being applied everywhere. Fear triggering the counterattack. And let's kill off this Head of Torment. Smash. Yeah, I mean, having a support champion deal some damage for your team is definitely going to help boost up your overall numbers, so I can see him being very useful there. There we go, block buffs again. Very, very needed debuff for Hydra teams. I think he's going to be helpful. He's definitely going to be helpful for a lot of people. Because you don't focus on him doing damage, you can gear him out a little bit easier. There's Thor just doing crazy stuff. Let's see. And then we have the block damage, increased defense. Very, very nice. All right. Yeah, so I mean, this is on brutal difficulty, obviously, and my gear will outscale this difficulty. But you guys just obviously manage your account so that you can, you know, have the proper stats to deal with the right difficulty of content. Here you go. And yeah, let's wrap it up here. I mean, it's mainly just to show what he can do and how he plays. So obviously you make him fast, you give him enough accuracy, and he's going to land the proper debuffs for you. So in this comparison, he is 785k. And I mean, that's all going to be from War Master and stuff like that. You see Harima here dealing 8 million damage, and then you see Thor here dealing 14.6 million damage. Gracchos is not even in the same league as these champions. Obviously, they have different builds. Thor, like I said, is a 9-piece Merciless build, so he's like just pure damage for Hydras. And then Harima is in a lethal set, so still ignore damage set as well. Estrid here is getting some damage from Hex, that's why. And then these other champions, they don't have War Master on them or anything like that. So Gracchos is damage 750k straight from basically War Master. And he's going to hit harder than Mikage and Molly, right? But he plays pretty good in a team like this. Definitely going to be helpful if you need, you know, basically an Ugo level champion. Now, the other area where he can be potentially very good is actually Chimera. The big draw to his kit is his block damage. He obviously brings AoE decreased defense, so you probably have to find a champion that brings weaken. That might be the difficult part for him, but the block damage in his kit is really, really strong, especially for the ram head. So let's jump in and see how he plays against here. We got decreased defense and decreased defense here from him, and then we have weaken from Tholen. We have the Mikage here for some additional damage. We have Necmo for speed up, speed down, and then we have Elva for cleanse and revive. Let's see how he plays. I think he should do pretty good here. So decreased defense and the block buffs landed by Gracchos. All right, let's see. Doing some damage, and then here comes the defense up with the block damage. Got a Mikage extend there. And yeah, defense up's really, really nice. There we go. Let's try to get to the ram head first, and we'll see how the block damage plays there. I think he's going to play out pretty well. There we go. Apply it again. Decrease defense. Boom. Okay. Yeah, looking good. Block damage again. Extension again. And I mean, a support that can pitch in a little bit of damage is always going to be useful. But he is boosting the entire team's damage up as well from his passive. And because he's in a 9-piece protection set, that's going to boost up his damage as well. All right, here's the block damage again. No damage taken. Looking pretty chill right now. Pretty chill. Ram head's coming up. All right, we got the ram head. We don't have the block damage up, unfortunately. And he's going to target the Gracchos first. We pick him up. Extension. And decrease defense and weaken. Landing both. There we go. All right, so Tholen drops. Our DPS drops. Gonna be like other issues, obviously, because we don't have somebody like Lydia. We don't have the fear, so we can't apply the fear to the ram. Can't get some of the trials. But yeah, let's test out. Since the turn meter is pretty close, we will wait till it's further back, and then we'll place the block damage. I think we'll be able to cycle back here. Oh, we could pick up a little bit of a heal. That's kind of nice. Do we get the weaken? We do. Is this enough to kill him? Yes, it is. Unfortunately. Oh no. Okay, let's test out the block damage here. Block damage up, and then he takes a turn, and we're protected. I no doubt that the block damage will protect your team. So if we didn't have a reviver, you can definitely probably make it work. But yeah, this is one of the biggest draws for him, for sure, against this boss. Makes it a little bit easier. Not the best run for us, because obviously we lost the damage dealer and all that. But yeah, definitely something here for Gracchos. All right, guys, so just some quick notes here about Gracchos and what we used him in today. So we used him in Hydra, basically showing you guys the 9-piece protection set. And then once we used him in Chimera, we did have to sub in a little bit more accuracy. We were aiming for about 400 accuracy. So again, you guys must sub in, accuracy based on whatever content you're using, but it's still a 9-piece protection set for Gracchos. And yeah, the idea is to benefit your team with some additional damage as well as from his passive. And as I mentioned, he does have the same 3-turn block damage as Demitha. So you could theoretically make a type of block damage team with Gracchos. However, Demitha does have an extension in her kit, so he can't really directly plug into a Demitha team, but there's definitely something there. So if you're so inclined, you can definitely make a speed tune team around this. So he is very viable in a place like Clan Boss as well. If you guys pick up a blessing for him, it's probably going to be a Brimstone, just because he's a legendary. He's not a damage dealer in a support form. Brimstone works pretty well. You could give him Cruelty as well. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the showcase here for Gracchos Turndrake. He's a good support champion. He's not a great damage dealer, so make sure you guys use him as a support champion. He's going to be viable in a lot of different areas. Pretty good value debuff skill and pretty good value buff skill, bringing additional damage to your team. For this showcase, we used the 9-piece protection set, which I think benefits your whole team quite well, especially from his buffs that he adds. But he's probably viable in many different builds. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys have Gracchos Turndrake? How are you guys using him? What do you guys see is his best spot? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate your time as always. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.